Right, so today we've got a bit of a different project going on. So here is a couple of pneumatic cylinders, well actually three. Air compressor, this is a 12-volt one, and a power supply. Now these were saved out of a skip. If you have a focus, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? So effectively what I'm using this system for is an electric gate. This camera is useless at focusing. So the idea is, got this twin cylinder compressor. It has a built-in pressure control switch, which I'll show you working in a minute. And that is going to outlet its air from here into this cheap, what do you call it, 5-way, 1/4-inch pneumatic valve. So the air is going to come in P, or this center port here. And when it's in the unenergized state, the air is going to flow from there to A, and out this pipe, which we're going to connect to a cylinder. When the solenoid on the end here is energized or manually overridden by pressing this button, it swaps the airflow from this center port to B, and the pressure that was built up in A will then be exhausted through this port here, and vice versa. When you turn it back off again, it'll go from B, the pressure goes back to A, and B will exhaust. We'll show you working in a second. So to power this, because it's 12-volt, I'm going to need a power supply. So I've just got one of these cheapy power supplies. This is a 12-volt 50-amp power supply. I've got a 50-amp, thinking that'll probably be just about enough to run something like this, as it generally runs at about 40 amps. So the way the pressure switch works in this is, as the pressure builds, this plunger will push that over, it turns the switch off, it runs back down through this yellow wire all the way to this, which is a relay and a fuse. That's actually got a 70-amp fuse in it. And effectively it turns the relay on and off, and the relay then fires the power back up to the motor, directly straight to the motor, and starts it up. So we'll do a little demonstration of this working for now. It's going to get a bit noisy. So, the moment it's running, I take port A, the air's coming out here. If I know how the air's coming out, if I block the port, you will see it move over. Let's see if we can practice a bit better. Right, now you can hear me again. As I've covered the port, the end of the pipe with my finger, the pressure builds up and you see the plunger moving. If I start letting the air out, plug that for now. Enough of that noise, but you saw how that works. Pretty simple. So now, I'm just going to pause and I'm going to connect it to my two pneumatic cylinders over here. Right, so get the air lines up now. This out of the way. So that's coming straight from the pneumatic valve with the pneumatic cylinders. They're teed together, as they will be when they actually get installed on the gate. So what I've got fitted in the end of these are flow controls. So inside the ends of here and here, there's a little screw which you can adjust, which sets the rate at which air can flow through into the cylinder. Inside these cylinders, we've obviously got the rod continues on its way through into the cylinder, and there's a wiper in the middle, and that'll be set there. So if you charge air on this side of that wiper, it'll push the wiper that way, withdrawing the rod into the cylinder. And when it's at this end, you pressurise that, and I push back on the wiper that's in here and extend the cylinder. They're really simple and straightforward. Now the other thing you get on these, you can just about see underneath there, there's a little screw. So that allows you to actually set the air cushions on the end of the cylinders. So as the cylinder reaches its full length, As it gets to its last bit, the cylinder, it slows down. And you can, by tightening and loosening the screw, you can set the amount of cushion and how fast the speed of the cushion is used up. So, let's do a demonstration. Probably won't be able to hear me, but here we go. Now, just taking a second to get up some pressure. Right, so now if I manually operate the valve by pressing the red button, and you're about to see what I mean by the cushion. And there it goes. Once the system back up to pressure, the pressure switch cuts out. So I'm going to release it and send it back the other way. Now the rams are extending. He's out the way. Now, you probably saw this one. I haven't set the cushion up the same, but sure this will come out and slow down. The third part of the system is going to be this much smaller cylinder. So what this one's going to be in charge of is actually pushing in the centre of the gate. You have a lock bar that you usually slide across and put the padlock through. This is going to be doing that job, but effectively it's just going to be sliding the lock bar across. So I'll get my foot on this. You see, it just extends like that. This one doesn't have flow control valves. I wasn't too worried about the speed of this ram, although it does move pretty fast. So, I'll give you a quick demonstration of how fast that ram goes. Right, so now the smaller cylinder is connected up. This one's a bit more vicious. I might have to get some flow controls. There it is. Quick as that. Now there are no cushions on this cylinder. So here we go, I'll operate it. So, I can go pretty fast. I mean, if you don't use the flow controls on these cylinders. Right, so the next thing I need to mention is not only is this just a pneumatic cylinder, what they've also done is on the internal wiper inside the cylinder. So if I push the cylinder in, there is a wiper. If we bring it back a bit so you can see a bit better. Right, so inside the cylinder is a wiper. When you retract the rod in like it is at the moment, there is a wiper which will be, it's there. So as I move the cylinder in and out, you can see the wiper. And the reason they've done this is because these cylinders, obviously, sometimes you're going to want to know where the position of the cylinder is. So when we look down the end, we look past, you can see these channels all running down the internal of the cylinder. They're hard to see on the camera, I'll admit, but here. And the idea is you can buy reed switches that slot into these channels, and as you tighten the screw down, it locks them into position. So what this benefit this has to me, when the cylinder's extended at full length, what I need to be able to do is tell a solenoid valve when to operate this cylinder when both sides of the gate are shut. So by installing a reed switch about the end of the cylinder here somewhere, where the wiper currently sits, it's somewhere there I think it is. Yeah, you can see it moving, so if it doesn't stick to everything else. But by doing that, as soon as that reed switch is hit by the magnet, it's going to switch on, telling me, same on the secondary gate, so both sides, it's the double swing gate, so as they both come in and shut, both sensors will trigger, commanding the solenoid valve to fire this cylinder out, which is very hard because it's still pressurised. Please do that. Here, fire that cylinder out, locking the gate. That's basically it. The next bit you see will be installing these onto the gates. Would you believe, out of everything I've ordered, I forgot to order the clevises that go on the end of the cylinders. So I've got all the bracketry mounted up, ready to go onto the gate arms, but just a piece of threaded bar. So next time.